Once again, the Georgia Bulldogs have the best defense in college football. And if you're a quarterback who has to face these dudes, I feel bad for you because it's not going to go well. No quarterback this season has had any success against Georgia's defense, and there are a lot of reasons for that. I'm going to break that down later in this video, but I have to share a quick story. On our way back from Starkville after watching Georgia beat Mississippi State, I asked Dean and Ryan in the car, I said, which quarterback has played the best against Georgia this year? And we all kind of looked at each other and we thought, and no one had a clear answer. So we started to go over each game, and by the end of the conversation, or after the question, none of us could come up with anyone. So of course, I went back, I crunched the numbers, and I'm going to share those with you right now. So let's just go back to the very beginning. Bo Nix, Oregon. Everyone knew Georgia was going to win the game. I don't think a lot of people thought they were going to win the game by 46, but Bo Nix came into that game 0-3. He left 0-4, and he did not have a good game. 21 for 37, 173 yards, 2 interceptions. He only rushed for 37 yards. Since that game, a lot of people say that he's been one of the best quarterbacks in college football this year. And I'm not going to disagree with that, but he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything against Georgia's defense. Week 2, Samford, they played 2 quarterbacks, I believe, if I remember correctly. They only had 109 passing yards in the entire game. Week 3, South Carolina, former 5-star Spencer Rattler, supposed to be a big deal, right? Was going to come in and change this Gamecock offense. 13 for 25, 118 yards, 2 interceptions. I do feel bad for him because I don't think he has a football future at all after this. They got to get another quarterback next year, and he's got 0 NFL future. And the Georgia Bulldog defense didn't do anything to help him. He didn't do anything. Week 4, Missouri, Brady Cook. This is the guy who you could say had the most success against Georgia's defense. It still wasn't a lot. 20 for 32, respectable. Just 192 yards and 1 touchdown. Not bad. Not good. So he's in the running here. Next week, Auburn, Robbie Ashford. Dude can fly, can't really throw. 13 for 38, 165 yards, 1 long touchdown. That was the result of a busted tackle in the open field. Guy took off down the field. Game is already over. Robbie Ashford couldn't do anything throwing the football. A.J. Swan, Vanderbilt, 12 for 23, 105 yards. Nothing. Anthony Richardson, 18 for 37. That's not good. That's not winning football. He did throw for 271 yards and 1 long touchdown. 7.3 yards per attempt. That's not winning football. You're not going to win that against Georgia playing like that. Hendon Hooker, Heisman favorite coming into Athens, right? Yeah, that Georgia defense said, not on our watch. 23 for 33. Halfway respectable numbers there. 195 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. They made him look completely average, and they wrecked him. They were in his face all game long, sacked him, 6, 7 times? I know whatever the statistical number of sacks, so it should have been more. There were a couple times where they gave him a scramble for no gain. Really should have been a sack for 1 yard loss. I'm not going to get into all that, but they made him look average. Then Will Rogers last weekend, we knew, everyone knows Mississippi State throws the ball. He did 29 for 51 for just 261 yards and 1 touchdown, 5.1 yards per attempt. That's not winning football. When you throw the ball 51 times and you only get 261 yards, that means you got locked up. And Georgia locked them up. That's who they have played so far. None of these guys have done anything against Georgia's defense. And again, recruiting it's important. I cover recruiting. I know how important it is. It's vital to a program. But this all comes down to coaching and development. I wasn't in the press conference after Mississippi State, but Kirby said that we don't use the same terminology week by week, which is crazy to me. Now, everyone focuses on themselves, open field tackling, fundamentals, technique, all that stuff. But when you prepare for a guy week by week, with this staff, Kirby's said before the season, this is the best staff I've ever had. He's got his hand in the defense, obviously, and in the secondary. Will Muschamp wasn't a great head coach, but the guy knows what he's doing. He knows defense. There was a reason he was hired at Florida. There was a reason he was hired at South Carolina. The guy knows defense. And then Glenn Schumann, co-defensive coordinator, inside linebackers coach, one of the brightest defensive minds in all of college football, will be a head coach one day. Might be the smartest guy on the staff. I'm not kidding there. He knows what he's doing. They are coaching these guys up so hard during the week, and when they play Bo Nix, they prepare for Bo Nix. They prepare for what he does best. That's why he couldn't do anything, because Georgia was ready. They didn't focus or prepare the same way against Bo Nix as they did Hendon Hooker or Will Rogers. Every week is different. They've got a different game plan for all of these guys. You just don't see that in college football anymore. But you do when you have this staff working as hard as they do, and you've got the kids to do it. They recruit well, they bring in extremely talented kids, and they coach them up better than anyone in the country. I don't want to compare this defense to last year's, right? I thought they would take a small step back, but y'all, if you look statistically, there's no way this defense could do a whole lot better. From a passing defense perspective, red zone defense, nobody is driving the field and scoring touchdowns on this unit. You could drive the field, but you're going to kick a field goal. If you score a touchdown, it's because Georgia's offense did something that gave them field position to where they could strike and score a touchdown. We saw that last week against Mississippi State. Their only touchdown came after Georgia turned the ball over in their own red zone. And then, they made one big completion, found the end zone. But nobody is working these guys down the field and finding the end zone. Bo Nix said that he wants a rematch with Georgia. He doesn't. That's a lie. He doesn't. He wants no part of Georgia. He has nightmares about this Georgia defense. I had a source out in Oregon tell me Bo Nix just twice a week wakes up, nightmares about the Georgia defense. Hendon Hooker, same thing. He's thrown on everybody. Couldn't do anything against this Georgia defense, and it's because they are so well prepared. They were last year too, and last year was an iconic defense, one of the best of all time. This group is proving that not only are they talented, but they are as well coached as they've ever been. They are bringing guys left and right. What Robbie Ashford's weakness is, Spencer Rattler, Will Rogers, what their weakness is, Georgia knows. And they're going to come after you. They're not going to let you do what you do best. Because Will Muschamp knows football, so does Glenn Schumann, and so does Kirby Smart. They're preparing their guys for everything. So, for example, Hendon Hooker, if you get in his face, you get around him, like most quarterbacks, they're going to overthrow balls, underthrow balls, or they're just going to take a sack. Georgia knew that. They came after him with all different kinds of stuff. Javon Bullard came off the blitz, untouched a couple times. They've got linebackers, defensive ends, dropping in coverage. They're confusing these quarterbacks each and every week. They're not able to do what they want to do. Again, if you asked any or the average college football fan right now and said, who are the best 4 quarterbacks in the game? They tell you C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, Hendon Hooker, and Bo Nix. 2 of those guys didn't do anything against Georgia's defense. They didn't even produce a touchdown between the 2. They're supposed to be the 2 best in college football. I would put Stetson Bennett in there. Hey, that's just me. But, hey, as good as those guys have been playing, Will Rogers is, statistically one of the best quarterbacks in SEC history. And yeah, he threw for 261, but it took 29 completions and 51 attempts to get there. And if Georgia didn't give them the ball in great field position, you can nix that touchdown. That's gone. They're so impressive week in and week out. They are a quarterback's worst nightmare because of what they do, how they prepare during the week. And again, they use different terminology. That's crazy to me. But they're doing it, and they're doing it with young players. There are some veterans scattered around Georgia's defense, but they're also playing a lot of young guys. Malachi Starks in the secondary. Jamon Dumas-Johnson, second year. Small Munden, 21 class, his second year. It's not like they're full of veterans. Yeah, they've got Chris Smith and Kelee Ringo and Jalen Carter. The last 2 were just in their third year. It's not like they're experienced veterans. Zion Logue's been around for a while. Tramel Walthour, those guys on the defensive line have been here for a while. And Nazir Stackhouse has kind of been here. This is his third year. But there's plenty of youth on this defense, and they're learning. And they're learning different things each week to prepare for whatever quarterback they go against. Yeah, that's easy to say, and that's what college coaches want to do. They want to prepare week by week, but nobody is doing it like the Georgia Bulldogs right now. Kirby Smart has this defense absolutely clicking. Glenn Schumann, not only are his linebackers replacing Nakobe Dean, Quay Walker, Channing Tindall, as well as you could expect, but he's got them clicking too. They know exactly what they're doing. They're just reacting right now. They're not thinking and then reacting, which is something I thought they would be doing at the beginning of the season. No, when the ball snapped, they know exactly what they're doing. They can get after the quarterback. They can confuse the quarterback. And when you see Bo Nix just demolishing every defense he's played since Georgia, and Hendon Hooker, who has demolished every defense except Georgia's, Georgia needs their credit. Give them their flowers. They are the best defense in college football. I'm not sure it's even close. I don't have to look at the statistics. I don't know if they're number 1 or 2 in total defense, scoring defense. It doesn't matter where they ranked. The eyeball test tells me, and the numbers that these guys are putting up on Georgia speaks for itself. No one's doing anything. And I guarantee you, CJ Stroud, if you're an Ohio State fan, you think CJ Stroud is just going to throw all over this Georgia defense. I don't care how many weapons he has. I don't care how good the kid is. It's not going to happen against Kirby Smart and this Georgia defense. Hendon Hooker, if you're a Tennessee fan, you want a rematch, I can promise you, Hendon Hooker wants no part of this defense again. He's still got bruises all over the place from a few weeks ago. Again, I just want to make this video to talk more about how good this defense has been. I said before the season, I thought they were going to be better than people think and that they would be one of the best defenses in college football. I was wrong. They are the best. Not one of. They're the best defense in college football. I don't see anything changing. They got Kentucky this week. Will Levis is supposed to be a superstar. He's not going to do anything against Georgia. Georgia Tech, I don't know who they're going to waddle out there against the Dogs. Poor guy. It's going to be a bloodbath. J.J. McCarthy, is he the guy at Michigan now? I know they had a 2-quarterback system going on. Doesn't matter. They're not going to beat Georgia. The only way to beat Georgia is to have an elite quarterback. Last year, Bryce Young beat Georgia. It was his Heisman Trophy year. Joe Burrow beat Georgia 2019. He was a Heisman Trophy. Mac Jones 2020, one of the best seasons of any Alabama quarterback ever. He beat Georgia. Kyle Trask was really, really good at Florida. One of the best seasons we've seen from a quarterback at Florida ever. If you don't have a really, really talented elite quarterback, you're not beating Georgia. And I'm not as sold on CJ Stroud, if that's who Georgia ends up playing for the national championship. I'm not as sold on him as everyone else. He's going to have a lot of trouble, and so is everyone. Anyone that plays against his defense is going to have a lot of trouble against Kirby Smart's crew. And, yeah, they're the best. They're the best right now. Thanks for watching this video. Head on over to Dog Post. We've got a lot of stuff going on, more recruiting news, team news. We're pumping out content left and right. Thanks for watching this video. As always, stay tuned to the next one coming up right now. I'll see you over on Dog Post.